Well, hey, Diet Disruptors. Carrie here with Coach Deb again. Hi, Deb.
Hi, Carrie. How you doing this morning?
I am good. I had a workout and a shake this morning, and I am like blood sugar stabilized. How about you?
I also had a shake this morning. And had my workout. And I actually had my second breakfast also because, you know, eat a lot.
I just had my second breakfast as well.
I decided that second breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. I don't know why. I love my shakes. I love all the other things that I make, but for some reason, I just love second breakfast.
Mine is always hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll cook an omelet up or something, but it's usually like grab and go fast. So
Yeah.
I usually do hard-boiled eggs and fat and carbs.
I've been making my own version of spinach feta wraps.
Ooh, I had one yesterday at Starbucks.
Yeah, because I love getting the spinach feta wrap. But it's like you can't go there all the time. But I use the siete tortilla wrap.
Yes, and it's so much better for you if you're making it yourself. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So last week we started off our month talking about food.
Yep.
And we're going to do this whole month about food, which is super exciting. And I always talk about Mark McDonald because he's amazing and he's one of our partners and celebrity nutritionist and loves our group. But he always says to me, Carrie, people don't know about food. They haven't been taught it. And I remember when the guy that I first started learning about this concept with, which we're going to talk more about today, he had said, Carrie, what do you think is more correct, an apple or a pizza with chicken? And I was like, well, obviously you're asking me this question. So my guess is it's not the apple like I think it is, but I can't figure out for the life of me why, because I was in the middle of like I ate my rabbit food and counted all the calories. Yep. You know what I mean? And
I do.
It was like family pizza night is a cheat. Like, how could that be correct?
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's when and I always think about what Mark now says to me, and he's like, people just don't know about food. And I think just not so long ago, not so many years ago, I had no idea about food and what it was supposed to do for my body. You were the same way, right?
Yeah, no, I was. I mean, and you think you know a lot, and then you learn more, and you're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
And honestly, our topic today is that's why.
Mm-hmm. You're totally right. And so I think about, it was probably 7 years ago now that I started learning about this. 6 or 7 years ago.
Holy moly.
I know. And it's so funny because last week we were talking about books that we were reading, right?
Yes.
And I was reading The Nightingale, and I was asking people what books they read and all that stuff. So I got a bunch of ideas, but it made me think about the fact where I was 7 years ago, 7 years ago, and what I was doing. But I read a book called What Alice Forgot. Have you ever read that book?
You know what? I didn't. I haven't read that book. I've actually been told not to read it.
Why?
I don't know. A friend of mine had said to me, she's like, I don't really think that this is a good book for you to read.
It is a good book. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
So it makes me think about, this woman, Alice, it's her 40th birthday and she's spinning and she falls off her bike and gets a concussion. She wakes up and she knows it's her birthday, but she thinks she's 30. She literally lost 10 years. And that's how the book starts off. I'm not giving anything away. I recommend the book to everybody. And it makes me think, if you woke up tomorrow, and you thought it was 10 years ago, but you're living the life that you're living in right now.
Okay.
What a mind blank it would be.
Yeah.
Right?
So completely.
I think about where I was 10 years ago, right?
Yep.
Okay. 10 years.
Yeah.
And I was living in Singapore. If I woke up and I was in my house in Connecticut and I had two little kids, a 4 and a 5-year-old in my brain, and I'm living in Singapore in my brain, but I wake up in my house with 2 teenage girls, it'd be like, what? Right. But also where I was mentally, emotionally with my body and my all the things. Then if I looked at my body and looked at my fridge and looked at what I wouldn't even recognize myself.
What is going on? Whose house did I wake up in?
Right? Yeah. So you got to think about where would you be 10 years ago if that happened to you? And what I love about everything that we teach and what we talk about is 10 years ago went by so fast.
Yeah,
You know, 1 year goes by so fast. I feel like we just got into this pandemic 4 minutes ago, and now it's like we're going back to school or not going back to school or whatever we're doing, right?
Whatever it is that we're doing.
And so I just think how fast that time goes by and how different my life is now because I said yes to the pizza with chicken, to be very honest with you. And I stopped eating just the apple.
Right.
So, what else forgot? All of you, if you read it, tell me, put it in the comments. It's amazing because it really makes you reflect on if I woke up 10 years earlier, what would my life be like? And you're watching the way things unfold and you're like, how did that happen? Like, you know, all of this stuff in her life. And it makes you think about your own life. So the concept that I was doing 10 years ago, that I was doing 6 years ago, that you were only doing a few years ago, had nothing to do with what we know our bodies need and what works, because it's never ever sold. Jillian Michaels, for example, says all day long she doesn't believe in fasting, she doesn't believe in keto or any of that stuff, but she does say the only way to lose weight is to put your body at a deficit. And it drives me crazy that she says that, because it is the way to lose weight quickly. But I mean, talk about the people on The Biggest Loser. They almost all gain it back. Because not only is it hard to sustain the lifestyle that they've been taught, but it wasn't about what their bodies actually needed for the long term. So what is it, Deb, that our bodies need for the long term?
We need blood sugar stabilization. Because when your blood sugar is stable, and no one teaches you this, I mean, all you're taught is put your body at a deficit. But, you know, as we've talked about, that doesn't work in the long term. It works short term, of course, but not long term. But
in very short term.
At
a cost.
Right. Because and then
short-term gains for long-term. No. What is the short-term decisions for long-term consequences or something like that?
Yeah.
You think you're going to lose weight, and then you think you're not going to gain it back.
Right.
But your body
go back to eating
that way.
Right. And that's the thing too, is that no, you go back to eating the way that you had before, because quite honestly, when you cut your calories, you can only sustain eating at a deficit for so long before your body's just like, give me food. And you know, that's when you like have what people would call cheat meals after another, and it just sort of starts, you know, this.
But also, Deb, I also want to say that a lot of people say, yeah, but that's not going to be me this time. I'm going to stick with it this time. The problem is, because our blood sugar is not stabilized while we're putting ourselves at a deficit, our bodies cannot do that. You can eat healthy, but your body will not be a fat burning machine, because what you've done is slow down your system so much that it will hold on to food. So you might think, no, I'm not going to have those cheat meals. I'm not going to eat that Snickers bar. I'm not going to do that this time. That way I'll be okay. It's physically impossible, because even if you eat all of your sweet potatoes and all the good stuff, you're gonna gain weight back, because your body is gonna hit a point where it says no more. And then it's gonna, and when it says that, it has slowed down its metabolism, so it will not burn food, even the good food.
Right, exactly. And I mean, like I think about like what I used to eat for breakfast every morning. And one of the things that we talk about is, you know, having this like blood sugar roller coaster. So before I started eating PFC every 3, I would have, which would be considered healthy, I would have oatmeal and blueberries. And then I, you know, sometimes would add almond butter or whatever. I thought I was doing something that was healthy, but what I was actually doing was causing this like spike in blood sugar, because I was, you know, eating so many carbs. And then my body, because you have 2 hormones that are associated with your digestion. Most of us know about insulin, right? We've all heard about insulin. We've heard about people being insulin resistant. Part of it is because of the number of carbohydrates that we eat. Your body can only, you know, continue to produce so much insulin to help you lower your blood sugar and keep it at a lower level. And after your body does that for so long, you know, it starts to break down. The other hormone, which I had not heard about until I started doing this, and it's my favorite one to talk about because it sounds like a Star Wars thing. So, and I love Star Wars, is glucagon. So when you're eating protein and you're eating a carbohydrate and you're combining them together. I mean, you know, sometimes we eat them separately, sometimes you eat them together as a salad, but that's part of why we have the protein with the carbohydrate, is because one has an impact on insulin, the other one has an impact on glucagon. And what you're doing is you're creating this stabilization of your blood and keeping it within this range. And that gets you off of the blood sugar roller coaster. And part of why we feel cruddy all the time is because of the peaks and valleys and spikes. And it just makes you, so that's why you suddenly have like this surge of energy, because your body is like all of a sudden getting what it needs. You always talk about like what every body needs. And that's something that's what it needs. It needs stable blood sugar. Your body's either going to do it on its own by continuing, you know, your pancreas is going to secrete whatever hormone it needs to in order to balance, or you can do it through food.
Yeah. And it's so much more effective to do it through food. So now you mentioned carbs and protein, and it basically balances out those hormones to keep our blood sugar stable. And I'm going to show you a picture of why our blood sugar needs to be stable. Yep. But then we didn't talk about fat in that equation, right?
Yeah. So fat basically helps to keep you fuller, feeling fuller longer. That's all.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, that's part of it though.
Yeah.
Yes. That's huge, because if you just did a protein and a carb,
right, you would,
yeah, no satisfaction in there. But we need healthy fats.
We do.
Because, well, there's multiple reasons. One, it cushions our organs, gives us lots of nutrients and vitamins and all sorts of things like that. And also, in addition to making it feeling full, it's so funny because sometimes people get headaches when they don't fuel their bodies correctly. And I'll often say have like 4 or 5 almonds. And it's amazing how that little bit of fat does exactly what our body needs fat, and it needs to know it's getting it on a regular basis. Yeah. Fat burns fat, you guys. If you don't have fat coming into your system, your body will hold on to the stored fat it has. Yep. But if it knows it's getting fat to do all the things that good fats need to do, it will let go of it. Yep. So that's why like avocados and olives and all that. We're going to talk more about fat. But I have this picture here, Deb, and I was just saying to you before we actually went on, I don't think I've ever shown this picture. Have you seen this one?
Not this particular picture. I like this.
Right? Let's see.
I'm
going to make it big. Can you see it still?
Yeah, no, I can.
All right. So let's take a look at this. So stable blood sugar. What happens when our body has stable blood sugar? Our body releases fat. Mm-hmm. It protects its lean muscle. Which I don't know about you, Ted, but I'm 45 years old.
Yep.
And if you see women that are older and that are kind of, you know, weak, they don't have a lot of muscle tone. Mm-hmm. We always worry about bones. Drinking milk is not the answer.
No, it's not. You have to build your lean muscle mass. I mean, that's what you have to do. And one way of doing that is by having stable blood sugar and making sure that you're getting complete proteins. And we're going to talk about proteins during another week, but that's really important.
Exactly. And when you think about how this protects lean muscle, mm-hmm. Well, this is what we talk about short-term and long-term. Yeah. I don't want to just put my body in a deficit so I can lose 10 pounds next week, only to the following week gain it back plus more. That seems ridiculous because what we're also doing is being on a blood sugar roller coaster, and we're losing lean muscle. Blood sugar spikes are going to cause us to store more body fat. There's so many problems. And then long-term health disease goes along with the blood sugar blood sugar roller coaster. It releases body fat, protects lean muscle, eliminates cravings.
Right, so everybody, I mean, when people join our group, when people come to seminars, they talk about like, what's your number one nutritional challenge? And for a lot of people, it's like, oh, I have these cravings. And I will tell you, I used to have cravings, and, you know, way in the past, I used to have cravings. I would have like these after school blood sugar crashes is really the only thing that it was. And I used to call myself an after school food shover because I could shove everything all the things in my face.
That was a teacher. So that's what she means by after school.
Yep. Yes, exactly. So, but that was it. It was because of, you know, what I was doing throughout. So I don't have cravings anymore.
Right. Right.
Because you're eating throughout the day, so you're keeping your blood sugar stable. And the most important one there, the last one, it increases your energy.
Oh my gosh. And it's so amazing to have that energy. I used to drink 5 to 6 cups of coffee a day.
Yeah, I was pushing that.
And now I don't have to at all. Look, I just have my water, and I love my fizz because it gives me another little boost of energy, but I don't need to have all of that. No. Now, I often get, I have some people that take this seriously and they track their blood sugar. You can do that. You can have a, but you might find yourself in this range and thinking my blood sugar is stable, right? Even without eating PFC. And that can happen. It's not likely going to be a long-term thing, right? Because your body long-term isn't going to get that. But also the consistency, what protein, fat, and carbs do, you're not going to find it just in that number. You might be able to technically get between these numbers and show a stable blood sugar, but it's not actually real. If I can say it like that. It's a little bit of a false belief that your blood sugar is stable because you truly need, because carbs, it's exactly what you said in terms of what carbs do with our insulin, what protein does with glucagon. It literally balances it out. And then the fat also allows us to digest all of that food and absorb those nutrients more. So what it does for our body isn't measured just in that blood sugar number. And by doing it consistently, we're building trust with our body. By giving our bodies the 3 macronutrients it needs on a regular basis, we're balancing our blood sugar the right way consistently, right? Which you're going to be very off if you're not consistently doing a PFC.
Yeah,
And then what ends up happening is your body's like, I know this chick's going to give me what I need when I need it. So I can just take what I need from her and just get rid of what I don't need.
Yep, exactly.
So when your blood sugar drops, when you skip a meal, when you restrict calories or carbs, or if you exercise on an empty stomach.
I used to do that all the time, Carrie. And I think about it now, and you know, I participate compete in triathlons, and I cannot tell you how many. I haven't been able to do one this year, obviously, but the last one that I did, there were so many people that were like, no, I didn't eat anything this morning. I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you know what you're going to put your body through by not eating? I ate before, I ate after, I ate later.
I know a lot of athletes. I know a lot of people that I've even coached that they have since not working out as much, gained a lot of weight and are very unhealthy now.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with this. So I always have a half a bar. Like I work out at 5:45 in the morning. I have a half a bar before I do. But look at what happens when your blood sugar drops. Your body burns muscle.
Yep.
It holds on to fat. And your energy will crash and your cravings will increase.
Yep.
When you're
like people who don't start off their day, and you know, we've worked with a lot of people, and a lot of them will say like, well, I can't eat first thing in the morning. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to start out small because you really have to eat first thing in the morning. It's so important because once you've caused that drop, you're playing catch up for the rest of the day. And that's why those cravings come, especially later in the afternoon.
Yep, that's totally true. And a lot of times people think they didn't eat, maybe it was like the last meal they ate, but really it might have been actually the morning. That's why having a coach is so important. That's why I love our 4 Weeks to Wellness Lifestyle launch, because like we have our PFC every 3 mini course, which I think is great. I love it. I wrote it, my goodness. But we do a lot of troubleshooting because everybody needs this, but everybody need some tweaking and to make it work, but analyzing. And we go through and say, walk me through all of your meals. Let's talk about this. And like we as professionals know how to look for certain things, right?
Yep.
And it might not be that meal that you just had at 6 o'clock. It might actually be back to the meal you didn't have at 5 a.m.
Yep.
You know, whatever. All right. Then when your blood sugar spikes, this means we've eaten too many calories. Now,
we all know that we've had that feeling because, you know, Thanksgiving dinner.
Exactly. Too many carbs per meal, and your body will start to store fat. Now, what's amazing is we do an appreciation meal once a week, and we do this, but because our body has been living down here for so long, it can go boop, boop, and then it goes right back. We metabolize food so fast that it doesn't spike for as long as it would normally spike.
No.
So we don't necessarily have to worry as much about storing that body fat because, and for 4 weeks, we don't do an appreciation meal in our 4 weeks to wellness because we're getting our bodies really set up. And then after that, we do our appreciation meal once a week. So I think this visual is really helpful to help people see what it is that we're talking about when it comes to blood sugar stabilization. It is not what any nutritional approach out there, almost none of them talk about this.
No.
And this is the key to permanent weight loss, long-term health, as well as your short-term goals being crushed.
Right.
So go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, you bring up a good point there because it's not just about, I know that a lot of people have the goal of, oh, I want to lose weight, right? And that's a great goal to have short term. But what you really need to be thinking of is the long term. What are you doing to set yourself up long term for good health? And so this also sets you up long term for good health.
Yes, and we talked about back in July when we did the discussions about mindset and our why.
Yeah.
And when we can get better with our why, and we watched Brittany run the movie Brittany Runs a Marathon. Oh my gosh. The reason she was training in the beginning, if you haven't watched that movie, you got to watch it. She was training in the beginning, had everything to do with just weight and a goal and all of that. And she was off her rocker. Yeah. Like she just couldn't pull herself together.
Nope.
And she was just back and forth and sabotaging because her why was just fragile, and it wasn't really set in something that truly mattered. When she figured out her why and she got deep in it and believed it to her core, it was amazing. Not only did she reach her weight goals, which weren't even part of the equation so much anymore, but she ran that marathon. But when we work towards getting to our optimal health, get to our optimal weight.
Yep.
When we work to get to our optimal health, we will get to work to our optimal weight. Just going to our weight goal, you can do and not be healthy.
Exactly.
You can do and screw yourself up for the long term. Why would you do that when there is a much better way?
Yep.
So I'm excited. This month is going to be so much fun. We've got
I like this.
Fun. We are going to be offering, oh, look, I think I just lost Deb. Okay. Well, look at her. She's frozen. I don't think she's here. Oh my goodness. This is the beauty of, let's see if I can do this. This is the beauty of, do you want to remove Coach Deb? I think I do. I don't know if I can. All right, we're just going to keep going. So we offer our 4 weeks to wellness lifestyle launch only once a month, sometimes less. It just depends. We are going to run one at the end of August. So if you're interested in that, you can go to 4w2w.com. We'd love to support you. But also, the other thing that I want to mention is that at the end of every one of our shows, which I just lost Deb, maybe she'll come back on. At every one of our shows, I always have a secret code. And this week, we are running a free 3-day seminar for people. Coach Deb, myself, and our other coaches were running it. It's happening this week. It's too late to join. I'm sorry. But if you want in, I recently developed a free online training course I'm super excited about. So I would love for you to be able to join us for that course. It'll be super fun. Okay. And I'll give you a link for being able to do that. I'll put that in the comments. And so you can join our free, kind of like a week-long seminar, but it's a week-long training that I put together that you're going to be able to learn a lot more about these concepts and kind of dig into all the things that we talk about. So that's going to be great. I want you to consider doing that. And if you decide you do want to do our 4 weeks to wellness lifestyle launch, that would be amazing. And so this week, if you watch this show, and this week, the week of August 10th, if you decide you're going to do the 4 weeks to wellness lifestyle launch, then all you have to do is send me a message and send blood sugar stabilization. That's your secret code. You can send it to me or Deb, even though she's not on anymore. You can send it to me or Deb, blood sugar stabilization, and you will get a free call with me. So I don't usually do that because of capacity. It's hard to do that with everybody. But if you watch this to the end and you sign up for our 4 weeks to wellness, which is like August 24th, it's prep week will start August 24th. Go to 4w2w.com. You can register and you send me a message and you, with the code blood sugar stabilization, and we will schedule a free one-on-one call whenever you want to do it, before, during, or after. It doesn't matter, but we'll put you down. I'll give you a link and you can schedule it for whenever you want to. Okay. But sign up for the free training if you haven't, my free training course this week, because that if you're in the seminar, if you're in the 3-day seminar, don't sign up for the free training course. We're going to cover a lot of that stuff in the free 3-day seminar. But if you weren't able to sign up for the 3-day seminar, sign up for my free training course. And it's self-guided. You'll get an email and a video from me each day with some tasks and a little bit of training, and it will be a lot of fun. So that's it. I hope that you are well. Please comment in the comments what you thought, what your takeaways were, any questions you have. All right. Thanks, guys.